What's going on, Workforce? Brian here, and today we're breaking down the Anthem demo. Now, the first thing you're going to notice when you boot up this game is that you cannot access the settings anywhere. So we were asking ourselves, well, how can we change the screen resolution? How can we modify various settings? And we have answers for you today. So in this video, we're going to break down how you can set it for 4K, how you can set it for full screen or not full screen. Now, keep in mind, we're going to advise that you back up your settings file to do this, but I'm going to show you where you can find the file, where you can kind of go play around with it, take a look, see what you can glean off of all this information. Obviously, the demo opens up to everybody on the 25th, which is really not too far along, and I would venture to bet that once you get past this main screen that you're going to have access to the settings. I've looked for it. There's no button, there's no UI. I've pressed everything on the controller, and so I wanted to kind of break it down for you in case you're just so hyped like me to be able to break this down. So without further ado, let's go ahead and actually Alt F4 because I haven't found a way to close out of the game on its own on PC. So with that, here I am. I've got my my origin up here, and one of the things I do want to point out, in case you really wanted to test out how the game is going to run on your PC with whatever settings, you can go into the application settings area and go to Origin in game, and here's where you can actually turn on your first person counter. Now I'm running it when the game boots up around 200 frames a second. When it gets to that main menu, it drops to about 100 frames per second for me on a 1080 with 16 gigs of RAM. So I definitely have the minimum and the recommended requirement specs for PC. Now we'll have to see how that plays out with streaming. So anyway, I wanted to point that out. So if you guys want to test out how the game's running frames per second wise on your device, you do that from here. That was Origin, application settings, and then Origin in game, and you turn on and you can actually position wherever you want it to be. Okay, so where do you find this file? Under your documents, which was weird because I kind of installed this on my D drive. D drive is where I put my captures and where I save my games and install things. But under your documents, it's going to create a BioWare folder. Then you're going to go into the demo. And then from here, you have a settings folder. Now, what you want to modify is profile options _ profile here. And then I do this in Notepad++, which I already have open here. So welcome to the coding world. So keep in mind, again, I recommend maybe backing up this file if you're going to make a lot of crazy changes. In here, you can actually see the code name of the game, Dylan. That's what it was called before. It was called Anthem. That's what their code options were. So you got your audio settings, then you have your rendering settings, and this is where you're going to find your screen resolution. You can see mine here at 1080. 1080p. So if you really wanted to make this something magical like 4K, if you have that ability, you'd want something like 3840 width by 2160 height to manage that. Now you see the full screen mode. I've got it set to 2. This is like borderless windowed, I would probably venture to guess. 1 is windowed, sorry, 1 is full screen, and 0 is windowed mode. And that's where you can drag it around and drop the screen. So if I actually go and change this to a 0 and save it, I'm now going to be in windowed mode for the game, still at 1080 by 1920 for the resolution. And then you can see other various graphic settings here as well. Then you get into the input settings regarding your flight sensitivity, swim sensitivity. Now again, I believe all this is going to be within the game itself once you get past that main screen, once the demo goes live on Friday. But if you just can't wait, go ahead and modify them here. If you do anything that makes any changes, it will, like Notepad says, hey, there was changes that were made. Do you want to go ahead and keep those? So under my games, let's go back to the game. I'm gonna show it to you guys. Launched in windowed mode, clicking it, clicking play, and letting it boot up as well. And so as this boots, again, you find it under your documents, BioWare Anthem game demo, and settings, and your profile _ profile file. Now you can see here, yep, it is now in windowed mode. One of the weird things about it though is that it seems to kind of offset itself on my computer. And so it is just what it is. Like I have a 2-screen monitor setup. If you also have more than one monitor, this will be helpful for you guys as well to be able to kind of control what monitor that comes on and comes into play. So here I can actually now have it in windowed mode. I can drag it and put it into different resolutions as well. Like with any windowed app as well. And it's freaking out my frames per second. You guys can see that here in the video. And then you obviously can, make that bigger, make that smaller, and go from there. So, and then with this, I don't have to hit F4. I can just hit X and close the game. Back to the settings file. Yes, it was modified, so we're good. from there. Auto detect quality on the render. There is a setting here. So for your full screen display index, if you're wanting to switch it from one monitor to the next, you can actually put that in here, and this is where it's going to default. Mine's already set at 0 because that's the monitor that I want it on, but from there you can set it to 1 for your second monitor, or I'm assuming 2 if you have 3 monitors, if you're just rocking it, as far as it goes. Hopefully this has been interesting. I'm really excited. We've got more Anthem content planned. We've got the podcast tomorrow. We're bringing on iGame, who's been doing amazing summaries, write-ups over on the Reddit page. He's got so much information about this game. We've got so much to talk about regarding Anthem. Hopefully this video has been interesting and helpful in some way to you guys. And that's pretty much it. A short, sweet little how-to guide if you wanted to go and play around with your settings file ahead of the launch. Again, I highly suspect that if you're not comfortable with this, that it's going to be in the game, because it'd be weird if it wasn't, and we'll go from there. So if you want to go look at all the settings in detail and try to get some idea of what you're going to have control over when this game goes live on the 25th for the VIP demo, which should be, if you guys have pre-ordered or you're part of EA Origin Basic or Premier, you should have access to it. If you pre-order on Xbox or PlayStation, you should have access to it. Again, go download this, get your game ready if you're playing with us this weekend. Anyway, my name is Brian, this is Work To Game. Thanks so much for watching this video. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care. Hey, it's me. It's been a while since I talked to you guys directly this way, but don't tell anybody. We've got even more epic content planned for this channel. The response has been incredible. We hope to see you. If you're new, hit subscribe, leave us a comment. I'd like to talk to you more about video games. I can't seem to speak my language. All right.